Welcome to sportsbookreview.com. I'm Flash, and it's the USPGA at Kiawah Island. Listen, I know no other show. I've done thousands of shows with SBR and everybody else, and it's a case of I never have my guests an hour before going, come on, I cannot wait for this show. Well, I've got Kyle and I've got Craig. We all went okay in the Masters. I mean, Kyle, I think it was 13 units. But first of all, if you like this video, then please subscribe, press the button, and ring the bell. Ring the bell means I'm notified you, and you'll never miss any content again, which is a bonus because we've got the last weeks of the season in the European soccer. But listen, forget soccer. Soccer's out the window. Let's get to the business end. I've got Carl and I've got Craig. It's the USPGA. It's the second major of the year. And at what a venue, Craig. Kiawah Island, home of Ryder Cup winning Europe, which is obviously, I just want to throw that in there. and I know we're going to talk for hours, but on just right from the outset, looks suited to the Europeans.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I think the Americans built it specifically for the Ryder Cup with Pete Dye and his wife. And that 2012 result was just Europe all over it. Not necessarily long hitters were thriving back then, and that gives another interesting slant on it. And to be honest, my research has took me to Holland, it's took me round to Royal Portrush, and even through Harry Colt designs, and to find some players with some correlating form that, and European that are going to play well this week, and some not Europeans as well.
Yeah, hopefully he's a little South African with a low ball flight.
I think so, yeah.
I'm hoping that my man finally comes good because, listen, he's never outside the top 10. But, Kyle, it's all right. But if there's one tournament in the year where it throws up a big winner, an outsider, it's always the USPGA.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, Colin Morikawa last year. I mean, let's talk about it. And I love this golf course. It's a beautiful course. And the fun part about it is, Craig touched on it. It's so unique. The conditions are different. The greens are different. The tee boxes are different. So you really do have to go to these different kind of places that maybe as a casual golf fan, you may not even know about. And that's why I love hearing Craig's, input on these things, because nobody researches it more than Craig does. And when I see your two beautiful faces, I know it's going to be a good week. I know we're going to have a great week of golf. I'm going to have naps on Friday afternoon, Saturday afternoon, and then be wired morning till night on Sunday. Love being with you guys. Very excited for the show.
I've gone goosebumpy. I just absolutely love it. My son obviously went to college in South Carolina. They had their championships at Kiawah. So obviously I get straight on the phone and say, Callum Wright, what type of player do I need? Well, 2 hours later, I was still none of the wiser of what type of player I needed, because I needed low ball flight. I needed to hit fairways. I needed a player that's going to have a double bogey and then come back and not worry about it, because we know that plenty of players, they go on tilt. So, Craig, I think to myself, the likes of Hovland. Hovland loves a double, but he also loves to put a string of birdies together. I love Oosthuizen because a bomb could go off next to him and he would be fine. Tommy Fleetwood hits greens, hits fairways, not great putter on day 4, but brought up on this type of golf. So, I mean, where do we go for trying to narrow this down? Because there is a whole host of players that this could suit come Sunday, and we go, well, it was obvious.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've got to be honest, my research got me to them 3 names as well. Tommy Fleetwood and Oosthuizen are quite closely linked. The thing that piqued my interest last time here was David Lynn in second. I think we've got to just ignore Rory McIlroy winning by 8 because he is a freakish golfer. He has the ability to blow a field away like Tiger Woods. I do think there is a player in this field that has the potential to do that, and that is Hovland. If only because, again, he's a freakishly young golfer. He could put in an absolute stellar performance when the course is playing so difficult. But that's a big ask. But you've seen Hovland hitting driver off the fairway, hitting it low. You've seen, he's the master of Paspalum greens. He's won on both Paspalum greens. He likes to give it a hit with the putter. I mean, he's not probably the most dexterous, but he is. He's my idea of, if there's going to be a runaway winner, it'll be Hovland this week.
Yeah, that's because he's so aggressive now. Carl, is there a chance that his aggression is going to get the better of him because you're going to have to be patient? You are going to have to take the knocks. It's almost like a boxing match. You're going to get whacked every now and again, but you've just got to steady yourself and go again. Now, he does that because he plays golf with a smile on his face, double, bogey, par, birdie, 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 maybe an eagle. It could be anything from Hovland, and he's definitely a ball striker who shows no fear.
Yeah, Victor Hovland's one of my favorite players this week. I do have him in one of these selections here in the video because I love how Hovland plays. And you're absolutely right. That's why I like guys like John Rahm concern me a little bit, guys who get a little bit down on themselves. I do have an American who has had a tendency to get down on himself, but I like where he's at right now, and we'll get to him. But this is an interesting course. We were talking before the show about those waist areas, those waist bunkers. Yes. Every single one of them is different. You're not getting the same consistency from one waist bunker to another. So you do need to be mentally tough. You need to be crafty. You need to have skills from tee to the short game to your putting. Everything needs to be on point. You need to be able to deal with the wind, adversity, double bogeys. And Craig's right. Hovland could run away with this, but Rory has the higher upside of any player in the field. To me, when he's hot, he's the best golfer in the world. And, he did win this tournament by 8 strokes in 2012 at this venue. So he's certainly someone you have to keep an eye on. Even though I do love an American this week, you're right. Europeans model well from top to bottom on this course.
Okay, I must just say a little bit of injury news, whether it's false, whether it's height. But they're telling me that Dustin Johnson's got a dodgy knee, even though he's been seen doing backflips off of yachts. And obviously Daniel Berger not being 100%. You know what that always brings back to in golf? Beware the injured golfer. I know that one of my co-hosts here is liking Daniel Berger, and that's you, Craig.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think his Pebble Beach win earlier in the year stacks up well here on that coast. Pebble Beach is a good barometer for links golf. I just like the way he's no thrill, he just gets the job done when he gets up there. Simple swing. He's at that age where he's at the point now in his career where the next step is to win a major championship. And it's either going to be in these next 2 years or maybe his career is going to start to stall. But he has made a lot of progress since the resumption post-COVID when he won the Charles Schwab, which is next week. He won that first one up and he has never stopped. And I'm hoping the injury news is a rumour. He did have some trouble with his ribs earlier in the year, but like you say, Flash, beware the injured golfer. We've seen that, and they might sometimes. I'm a great believer that sportsmen release a statement to take the pressure off. Over here, you have it where in different sports they'll already make their excuse before they start, and sometimes it works for them. There's certain players that it can work for.
Yeah, and just while I remember. A family friend, golf club member in Southampton, Richard Bland, winning his first golf competition at the age of over 48, the oldest winner, over 478 times he's teed it up, and he finally got his win at the weekend.
That gives me hope because I still
magic.
Because I still
tears in the household. Yeah,
that gives me hope.
Our local golf club was just absolutely completely mental. So listen, it's one of those. But the only time you've got no chance of winning is when you actually give up. So never, ever give up. Carl, let's get to the business end. We're going to kick off with our winner first, even though the big value may well be in the top 10 or top 20. But when you look at this course and you ask for a ball striker, you ask for a player who is going to have bogeys and birdies, and he has a low ball flight, who's your winner?
That's my guy, Jordan Spieth, and I think you touched on everything that he is. And listen, we know that he had that big drought, and he was down on himself, and confidence was a real issue. Well, that has turned around recently, and I really like where his head's at. And he's the type of player in this tournament. Look, wind is going to be a factor all 4 days, no matter what. And some holes, it's going to be 9 miles an hour. And you're going to go to the very next hole and it's going to be 25 miles an hour. You're going to be hitting balls from tough locations. The waist areas, the greens are going to be different, these Paspalum greens. Jordan Spieth is one of those wow factor guys, along with Rory, along with DJ, that can play in any condition. They can hit a miraculous shot from any lie. I love how he's putting. I love how he's hitting the ball. I love that low ball flight. I love where his confidence is at. And let's not forget, this is the one major that Jordan has not been able to win. This will complete the career Grand Slam for Jordan. I think he gets it done this week. I like the number. I think I got it earlier this week at 16-1. I like Jordan's chances here, even though I do think this course profiles really well for the European players. There's just something about the way he's playing and the way he hits tells me he's got a really, really good shot this week. Jordan Spieth makes a ton of sense for me this week.
Yeah, I think he does. I think I don't fancy him to win, but obviously if you've got the first 8 or first 10, then I think you've got every chance of him being there. Just wayward drives for me. I just cannot have him. And also he goes into the category of Bradley, Finau, Fleetwood, Casey, Spieth, Matsuyama. Even though Matsuyama's come, I cannot have him, by the way, this week. He has been touring the whole of Asia and Japan and everywhere else on celebrating his green jacket. Who's your ideal of the winner, please, Craig?
Yeah, back to Victor Hovland for me. Just purely on the scenario that in golf, occasionally you get players that are freakish. Now, Rory was bred to be a winner. He was a child prodigy. Don't think Rory's the greatest closer, but he's won 2 majors by 8 strokes, similar to how Woods won a couple of his majors. And I do think at this point in his career, Hovland has that in his locker. And this course seems to play perfectly to his strengths. He's never probably going to have a better opportunity to win his first major than this. And, you know, there is nothing really about this course that he's not going to play. Like you said, you know, that ability to bounce back from a double bogey, he will need that more than likely. And that ability to smile. But overall, you know, if it happens to play as long as John Rahm said in a tweet today and what have you, and he's flushing it and also hitting the ball low, which we know he can do, you know, no one strikes the ball better than him, really, and pure. So there's just that chance with Hovland that if he's going to win a freakish win by a long distance, this week will be it.
Yeah, well, my winner is going to be the South African who got me tied 9th in the Masters, and that's Louis Oosthuizen. Very low ball flight, heat sneaky long out to 325. Up and down, and I think he's in the top 2 if he's not number 1 in putting. Everything and obviously wind from the South Africans is a given as well. And there's been a lot of money for him this week. He was at plus 9,000 earlier on in the week. He's now down to plus 6,000, and in some books he's below plus 5,000. So I've gone with Usti. It's one of those, if it's not broke, it don't need fixing. I've gone with him as my winner and obviously my each way. Kyle, give me. This is where we did quite well last time because of our top 10s. Who's going to be your first member, and who's going to go in the top 10?
I like Scotty Scheffler this week. I think that he is a similar type of guy. He doesn't hit these soaring, towering drives, or a little bit lower. The one concern, of course, is his putting in pressure situations. He has not been good over the last 24 rounds with the putter. I think he's something like 100th in strokes gained with the putter. But again, this is a different type of green. This Paspalum's going to be more true. It's a little grainy, but the ball is going to roll straight. I think he'll be able to dial in the distance. I think he can play through all of the conditions on the course. I'm getting him here at plus 425 on Bet Online to finish in the top 10 here. I just like how his game translates. He's one of my favorite young players on the tour. I think Scheffler gets it done this week. Don't be surprised if he's on the front page of the leaderboard all 4 days.
Yeah, he just misses them odd free footers for me. So he comes out of his putting too much. Now, the other thing that people have got to understand that when you have slow greens or slower greens, you've got to be aggressive. You cannot be a tentative putter. You've actually got to be more aggressive. Otherwise, you're going to drop away when it looks like it's going in the middle. And you've just got to make sure that the flat stick is the part of the game that complements, because it can be great that you get 490 yards in 2. It's no good going and taking 3 shots to get inside 10, Craig.
Yeah, well, interestingly enough, my selection ties in with Louis Oosthuizen, who I'll come to later. But so when I first looked at Kiawah Island last week, I was looking at David Lynn, spiked my interest. David Lynn had the most remarkable course record in the Dutch Open at a place called Hilversum. And he finished third here last time. He finished second in the Wells Fargo. So I went into Hilversmoosh, have a look at it. It's not your classical Dutch Open course, because I thought it's going to be a links course, going to be perfect. You know, it's going to correlate. No, it's a fiddly track, it's parkland. But then, when I looked at the old results, up pops Rory McIlroy early in his career in the top four, Louis Oosthuizen, Tommy Fleetwood, Martin Kaymer won it. And I'm thinking, aye, courses fit players' eyes, their games, their shape of shot. And I get the feeling that one was. And so Tommy Fleetwood came up there. Like you said, he fits everything this week. He's controlled ball flight. Even the slow greens, he can give it a pump. It's only that last day thing. And to be truthful, Tommy Fleetwood has been closing tournaments out in Europe. He is due. But that top 10, I noticed some of the firms over there plus 650 for the top 10 finish. It's a great bet. I mean, the thing is, he's had an easy season, and he went home after the Masters, recharged his batteries. That Wells Fargo last time, a lot of potential in that. That will have sharpened him up perfectly. So, to me, he has a great chance in all the markets like Hovland, and yeah, I won't put you off having him in the winner market as well, but definitely for the top 10, plus 650, I think, bet online.
Yeah, I did actually give you plus 60, plus 600 I gave you. Now, my top 10 is a little bit of a wild card, but he fits in with everything that says links. He's British Open winner, and it's Shane Lowry. And Shane Lowry, because of his ball striking, his length, but he loves to play in the wind. And this is where we'll go back to Royal Portrush. And secondly, he has probably one of the best short games in the world of not necessarily birdies, but managing to get up and down to keep himself around par. Now, no one knows what the winning total is going to be. I mean, I've spoke to some people and they say it could be 5 under. Some people say it could be 12 under. It depends on how bad that wind blows, because if there's no rain, it's going to get fast and firm, and nothing worse than fast and firm if you're going downwind. So I've gone with Lowry at plus 800. So then we've got Scheffler at plus 450. We've got Fleetwood, who I cannot disagree with, at plus 600. And I've got Lowry at plus 800. I think this next category is where probably our bankers are, because it's the top 20, Kyle. And if our player is outside of the top 20, then we've got it seriously wrong.
Exactly, and that's where I went with the boy we've talked about at length today. I love Victor Hovland here. I know it's kind of a coward's play. It's plus 110, but
no,
Victor
it's a
Hovland,
winner. But it's a winner.
It's absolutely the pick I feel the most confident about this week. I will be absolutely shocked if Victor Hovland is not in the top 20. He profiles so beautifully, like you guys talked about. Nothing outside of the top 25 in any of the major categories when I plug in these conditions for this course. Victor Hovland, I wouldn't even mind swapping him to top 10 and Scheffler top 20. I think they're completely interchangeable. And I will not be shocked, like Craig mentioned, if Victor Hovland runs away with this thing. I love how his game profiles. I love the mental aspect of his game. Top 20 plus 110 seems like a no-brainer to me. It's the pick I feel absolutely the most confident about.
And I've just got to make sure that everyone is watching this video. First of all, we put the thumbs up to show a bit of appreciation, but we do not discuss prior to sending in our tips. And it's going to be completely bonkers when my main man, Craig, gives me his top 20 banker.
It sounds like we've been in collusion, but we haven't. And it's like we've come out this time with unanimous picks. And so Louis Oosthuizen for me, top 20. Last time here, he had a second round of 79. It undermined his whole week's work, but he still finished 21st. If you chuck that, he was 70 or less on the other 3 rounds. If you give him a 70 for that, he'd be top 5. He comes in here in strong form, having got to the playoff in the pairs event with Charles Schwartzel. I just think he's a top 20 lock here. Like, he plays in the top 10 market. And to be truthful, if the course is tough and it gets tough in it out, he's a little guy, he's under the wind, but he pumps it a long way, he controls his ball flight. You know, he does have the class to win major championship. And going back to what I spoke about, players that have won mega championships by big distances. Remember how he won the British Open?
Yeah.
You know, that way of blowing a field away, that shows a high functioning ability. There's no looking that. You know, when the rest of the field's like 2 shots around behind you, there's no looking that you've got a high functioning game, and he looks perfect. I mean, it's bizarre how we're all on the same guy so far.
Well, do you want me to give you my banker top 20 plus 250 5-2? It's Tommy Fleetwood.
Love it.
And it's amazing where one of us has got him for top 10, one of us has got him for top 20, but top 20 for Tommy Fleetwood. I can see him being on the first page of the leaderboard going into Sunday morning. Do I think he wins it? No, I don't, only because he doesn't roll that ball with enough. The ball doesn't fall for him on the final day, but for him to be top 20 at 5-2 plus 250, I think he would have to have a disastrous Thursday and Friday for him not to be around the top 10, top 15 come Sunday when someone's given the trophy. So I'm going with Tommy Fleetwood at plus 250. Now we're going to get some good value here. And by the way, the next is top American. Now with the top American, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you're going to go with a top American, remember, it's nothing to do with the rest of the world, nothing to do with the Europeans. It's just you're American. And who have you gone for, Carl?
Well, obviously, I picked him to win the tournament, so I better be going with Jordan Spieth here, or my brain is not working properly, right? And look, he's got competition here. You got Spieth, Thomas, Bryson, Dustin, obviously with the knee issue. He pulled out of last week's tournament. Dustin profiles beautifully here. He's the one I'm most concerned about. We'll just see if that knee can hold up here.
Carolina obviously, boy as well.
Carolina boy.
Myrtle Beach, their home just up the coast.
Daniel Berger is in here. We'll see what's going on with his injury at 4-2. But I'm getting 9-1 on Spieth. I just love how he plays. He's red hot. I think he can win the tournament. And this gives me a nice little sort of like a hedge. Okay, maybe he finishes 4th or 5th, doesn't win the tournament, but he's a top American. I get it at 9-1. It's a little bit chalky here. I get it. But look, if I like him to win, he's got to be my top American. I'm going to say it again. I think he gets the Grand Slam. I have something special in the air. It'll be really cool to see. It's always cool when a player gets that Grand Slam. It's not something that happens all the time. Only the truly greats get that career Grand Slam. I think Jordan Spieth etches his name on that list this week, so that certainly makes him the top American. 9-1 makes a ton of sense to me.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you're going for Jordan Spieth, because that just means I can go hex when you're on his backswing, coughing and everything. Even though he can't hear me, I think he can. Craig, who's your top American?
Yeah, well, it's Daniel Berger for me. Going back just again to that Pebble Beach form, I think he could well win the tournament. I think he's just that no-fuss type player. I think he'll just carry on. And, I think he's got the ability to keep the ball flight under control, keep it low, and I just think he's at that point in his career where if he's going to win and hit the heights, it's going to be now. And I'm just hoping that the injury worries are not true about him, really. But yeah, I would definitely have him in top American, and I won't put anyone off having him in the win market either for small stakes.
Okay, well, I've gone with my top American, which again is 1st, 2nd, 3rd, or 4th on the American, is the one player that has every shot in the book. And if he has a good few days, he could well win the tournament. It's Bubba Watson. Bubba Watson has length. He's actually, for the last 2 weeks, got the old 1980s style wood out to keep it lower than low. I mean, it's hitting gophers on the head. If they pop their heads up, it's going that low. He has an unbelievable short game, and these greens will force him to be more aggressive. So, I mean, there's a dog. That's it, Bubba. I can hear the dog in the background, and he's over the moon. I've said Bubba. But
that's delivery at the door, that is.
And you can also get him as the top lefty here at plus 275. I love that too. Like if you're looking to make more Bubba plays, I mean, what's this? Phil? Probably not. Brian Harman, Robert McIntyre. No, Bubba stands out in that group. Plus 275 makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at Brian Harman. Obviously, Brian Harman's always done well on tough golf courses. Brian Harman's always more of a US Open player. But the problem I have with Brian Harman is he's length. He has to go in a little bit like we said with Zach Johnson. But a lot of these greens are guarded. So if they're guarded, you can't run them up. And that's the big problem I have with Brian Armour, because Brian Armour's been playing fantastically well all year long, but he just gets caught out by his length. Hits the ball so well, but I just feel with the guarded greens, and if he's going in with a wood, he's going to run off the back, and there's water and there's rubbish all around these greens. But I'm going with Bubba, because if Bubba hits the fairways, wow, he is going to be one dangerous cookie. So, and I know a fifth of the odds for a top 4 American, I'm getting plus 1,100 on him just being first, second, third, or fourth. I'm getting plus 5,500 for him being the best American. So Usti to win and him and Bubba to come second, I think was an enormous value. Now, top European is going to be, there's such a wide array of talent to pick from. Who are you going for, Carl?
Well, look, I know it's sort of chalky here, but I'm taking the golfer with the highest ceiling in the entire tournament and a player who's won here before on this course 9 years ago. I took Rory. I just makes a ton of sense for me. I loved seeing him win, seeing him sort of get out of his own head, especially around the green. With that gone, Rory's another one of these guys like Hovland who can, when Rory's at his best, he has a higher ceiling than every single player on the tour. I think getting that win, you could see a real sort of like Jordan Spieth, how the confidence is low, things are going weird, and then that light switch goes off, that light bulb goes off in his head. He put it all together, won that tournament. I think that is huge for Rory this week. I really, really like him as a top European this week. It won't surprise me if he wins either. If Rory runs away with this thing, I'm not going to be surprised. But I do think he's a top European. I know it's not a huge number you're getting here, but this is another one probably right behind Hovland, top 20, where I could really, and Hovland certainly isn't in contention for this as well. But Rory as a top European, I feel pretty damn good about this week. I think Rory's going to have a really nice showing, and I like that he's finally out of his own head.
Yeah, but a lot of people forget that Victor Hovland is a European, Craig. But I always find that this is a market where if my main selection is not up there, then I fall back on value.
Yeah, I mean, I like so many Europeans this week. It's been a real problem, real headache. And I like Shane Lowry, like you said, Flash. Yeah. I really considered him. I just took the view he was probably playing not a fraction as well as he was in the lead up to Port Rush.
That's fair.
And that may expose him, but there's everything about this place that suits him. So I ended up landing with Tyrrell Hatton. Now, funnily enough, he played well at Port Rush, like Fleetwood did. And here he is, Tyrrell Hatton. Now, again, he's one of them guys, like Berger, who if he's going to win, he's going to have to start winning a major soon. But his career, since coming back from wrist surgery last year, he seems to have channeled that aggression well. And his win in the Arnold Palmer last year at Bay Hill was just fantastic because the course played so tough. And here's the thing with Tyrrell Hatton. He's got form on past Palm greens, in Saudi and what have you, and form in the Dunhill links. We know he can play links golf, and we know he can play when the par is tough like he did last year at Bay Hill. I think, there's a lot to like about Tyrrell Hatton in the win market as well. But for this, we're taking him top European, and have a small at 5,000 plus in the win market as well, because I think this guy can win tournaments.
Plus 1,600 to be the top European. Now, I cannot go anywhere near any major, especially when it comes to links, especially when it comes to ball striking, and not have Sergio on my side. And I've gone with Sergio Garcia at 28 to 1. That's just under plus 600 for a place to be in the top 4 of the Europeans. And it all does come down to ball striking for me. And I think the waist areas, I always think of long iron shots like Seve used to do. And for some reason, I still think that the Spaniards, maybe the South Africans, are the best in the world from the sand. So yeah. I just thought that I cannot sit there on Sunday afternoon and have Sergio anywhere near the joint and me not having my money on him prior to the tournament started. I'm not a great one for putting my money down on like a player on a Saturday night before round 4 at plus 300 when I could have had him at plus 4,500 on Wednesday night. So I've gone with Sergio, just because I think that everything suits. And if he's having a going week, then he can be up there in the top 4. He seems to be very settled in his mind, which is great, because you're going to need to be, because every facet of your game is going to be tested around here. And I hope that Sergio has a going week. Now, top rest of the world. Now, I remember someone had top rest of the world, Matsuyama at the Masters. Now then, who are you going for, Carl?
Well, I did like Matsuyama at the Masters. We got that at plus 650, but I don't think you can go that route this time. He does seem like he's celebrating this. He reminds me a lot of Alex Ovechkin right after the Stanley Cup. Like, this dude has been drunk for 3.5 months. You know, it just seems like since that Masters, this guy has been partying, and rightfully so. I'm super happy for Hideki. When I look at this, a Pete Dye course, I like Siwoo Kim. I mean, he just won at Pete Dye Stadium course in January. Of course, he won the Players in 2017 at another Pete Dye course. That's when he qualified for the PGA, was at another Pete Dye course. So he is one of the guys in the Pete Dye fan club, that's for sure. Now, there are some concerns here, right? Like Sanjay probably profiles just slightly better here, and Siwoo can sort of get into his own head, right? He can make some weird course management decisions and sort of fall apart here. But when his game is right on a Pete Dye course, the way his game is, obviously the contenders in this one, you know, Hideki, of course, Cam Smith, of course, the Aussie, and then, you know, Sanjay and Siwoo. I just see the value. I don't have the number right in front of me for rest of the world for Siwoo, but I love how he plays the Pete Dye courses.
It's plus 2,000.
Plus 2,000.
You can do top 4, and you said basically you're going to get maybe plus 400 if he's second, third, or fourth in the rest of the world.
And I mean, doesn't that make sense? Because who are the 4 you're really looking at rest of the world? It's Hideki, Sanjay, Cam Smith, and Siwoo, I would think.
Well, it all depends. It all depends. You have to wait and see, wouldn't you? Because I can't have Siwoo. I can't have him. I'd have him in the top 10. I cannot have Siwoo. He is the spaghetti putter. And you remember when I said about who the spaghetti putter was at the Masters? Matsuyama.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I got it all wrong,
so thank you for doing that. That's correct. Thank you very, very much. But I'm telling you, you go back and you watch that tournament in January at Pete Dye's stadium course when he beat Cantlay, I think, by 1 stroke at the end. 2 bogey-free rounds. He even talked about, I didn't sleep the night before. I was super nervous. There's just some sort of comfort level with these Pete Dye courses for Siwoo. I think he gets it done, and I love that plus 2,000 number, too. Would you rather take a partying Hideki at a much lower number?
No.
Take a guy who can get red hot on these and take Siwoo. Let's go Siwoo. I'm big on Siwoo this week.
No, please, because Craig knows that I was probably one of the first people to have Siwoo on my slate a few years ago. And also, and I'm not just saying this, and then Craig will back me up, Kei-Hyung Lee, the winner this week, I have been a big fan of, and I left him alone this week. And he's just obviously won last week. And I'm like, no way of one of... Because what I do is I stable my boys. I put them in a group, and I follow them throughout because I trust my judgment. And I had Kei-Hyung Lee at 375 to 1 earlier on in the season. And then he pops up last weekend and wins, and I'm like, oh my God. Who you got, Craig?
Well, this is the first time we've got all the way down the slate, and now we're kind of getting to the stage of falling out, I think, because I've got Matsuyama. So now here's my thoughts on Matsuyama. So, yes, he's been partying, and I don't think he will have partied like Shane Lowry did, because in Ireland, that's a proper party. And, you know, you'd probably take a year to recover. But now, to me, he has kind of underwhelmed. He's not fulfilled his talent. Now, winning the Masters will go one of 2 ways. It'll either be a watershed, and it will release some endorphins in his brain that makes him believe the way he won the Masters. And you know, he could come here a totally relaxed golfer. And from that kind of upbringing and the discipline in his game, now maybe he's ready to express himself properly. And because when you think about it, he's got all the tools. He literally has the tools. So it's a chancy one. I must say, out of all my picks, this is the dicey one. And in some ways, I won't put anyone off having, you know, a small stake on him in the win market, because I'm a great believer in players can go back to back. People think they can't, but actually in sport, once it goes in they suddenly stop worrying about winning. They're not worried about it anymore. They just have to, they play naturally. So, there's a chance we see a different Matsuyama. There's also a chance we see him miss
He doesn't make the cut.
Yeah. So, don't get too sold on it and go mad. But I did consider the Australian Matt Jones, on this type of course. The way he won the Honda was pretty impressive. If he gets, I find this market, because I've not found many overseas players apart from Oosthuizen I really like. I found this market quite difficult, but maybe it's the most open as well.
And you teed me up brilliantly there, Craig, because I've had it down to 2 at value, and then there was a massive disparity. I've actually gone for the Colombian, Sebastian Munoz. Yeah. And listen, let me tell you now, he's at plus 5,000, 50 to 1, which is plus 1,000 just to come second, third, or fourth, if you do him each way as the rest of the world. Now, if this is a 12 under par, then I think I might be struggling. But if this is a tough golf course, him hitting fairways, greens, 2-putt pars, I'm more than happy to have him on my side, because he's one of those that grinds it out and he doesn't get frustrated with just having pars. So I've gone with Sebastian Munoz. The wife thought that she's Colombian, thought the only Colombian golfer was Villegas. I had to educate her. So this weekend, you know what? I'm hoping he's up there, because when she says, "Are you watching this golf again?" I can then say, "Yeah, it's the Colombian Sebastian Munoz." And all of a sudden she'll be like, "Oh, that's no problem then. Keep watching."
He actually profiles beautifully too.
Yeah, you got me thinking.
He really does, Flash. When I just looking at like the numbers that I put in to try to replicate what the conditions of the tournament are, top 30 in 7 of the 9 categories. Looks really, really good. I hadn't looked at him at all. I think that's a really nice, just to sort of piggyback on what you said. Munoz looks really nice.
It's a good play. It's an open market. I mean, I think there's a few down there. Burmeister's coming over, playing very well from England as well. He's been forgot about. But I definitely like Flash. I like his ability to play on a bit grainier, slower greens, and he's starting to play well in major championships.
I mean, he could have 3 rounds of 71. Do you know what I mean? And be absolutely over the moon. And remember, it's the rest of the world. So if unless Usti wins, then he could easily be the best rest of the world player, because the Europeans and the Americans are not in that market. So 50 to 1 to be the best.
It's going to be tough when my boy Siwoo is 9 under, though. Woo woo, Siwoo.
I don't see Siwoo making the cut.
Oh, how dare you? How dare
you? You know what I mean? Go and put your money on Siwoo to win it by 5. That's it. Okay, so now we're going to go for the matchups. Now, we got 100% record in our matchups in the Masters. All 3 of us went bang, bang, bang. All 3 of us got it right. So we're going to start with your matchup first, please, Carl. Who have you got to win over 72 holes?
I needed some plus money here, and it's a guy we talked about earlier that I think will finish in the top 10. I took Scotty Scheffler over Tony Finau at plus 100. Now, look, Tony Finau is a fine player, but he's also one of these bomb it, high and long type guys. And when you just look over the last 24 rounds, when I put in the model of the conditions we're going to see on this course, including waste areas, etc., Tony Finau is 106th in shots gained and strokes gained around the green. You are going to need to be good around the greens this week. When I flip that over to Scotty Scheffler, he's 4th. Now, Finau is a little bit better of a putter, no doubt about it, and he hits it a little bit longer.
That means they're 2 bad putters, because there's one thing.
That's right.
If it meant that, listen, if it was a 4-footer and Tony Finau had to putt it for me to not go under the guillotine, I would just put my head under.
Exactly.
I would just put my head under and go and let it go, because I had got no confidence.
He struggles putting. He struggles around the green. He hits the ball a little too high for my liking. 95th in terms of short game and strokes gained. I think he's going to need a lot of that this week. Scheffler beats him in so many categories at plus money. Give me Scheffler over Finau plus 100.
Yeah, and listen, we are 100% record last time. 3 out of 3. Some people will just parlay these 3 and cheer us on. Craig, you changed yours. That's something that you or I never really do.
No, I know. Yeah, I was going to go with Rory over Justin Thomas, but then I wanted to get Keegan Bradley in there somewhere. I kind of think that he's kind of a lock to be definitely in the top 40. I see he's playing Emiliano Grillo, who is some weeks playing well and some weeks all over the place. Little bit worried about Grillo's ability on Paspalum greens. That does worry me a little bit, but I bought into the fact that I think he probably misses a cut 50% of the time, and hopefully Keegan Bradley will make the cut. And so I think this bet wins 3 out of 4. I just wanted Keegan Bradley. He was second here last time. That was when he was defending champion. We know how well he played at the Valspar when Sam Burns just outstayed him. He didn't seem to have a hangover from that when he played well the week after at Wells Fargo. And I expect him to be looking forward to this, hitting the ball well. And, you've got to expect Keegan Bradley to have a very solid week.
Yeah.
Exactly. Bradley is one of those that you don't want your money on him to win. But if you want your money to listen, it's one of those. He could be first round leader. He could be one of those that's definitely there. You know that he's flaky coming down the stretch, so that gives you great value on whoever he's playing with. I mean, Bradley, Finau, Fleetwood, Casey, Spieth, Matsuyama, they are all going to be there on the front page, top 20. And as far as Emiliano Grillo goes, he can go from 4 under to 4 over in a matter of holes. So, I would definitely want to be with Bradley over Grillo. Yeah. Mine, I've gone with Answer, Abraham Answer. I think he typifies a player who just keeps going. He can be 5, 6 off the lead with 9 holes to go, and he still keeps going. He doesn't jack it in, and he's playing against a player who can self-destruct in Tyrrell Hatton. Tyrrell Hatton playing very, very well, a wonderful ball striker. But I'm looking at the mental state of these two and thinking that I've got a stable chess player against a 10-pin bowling player that wants to knock every pin for 6. So for me, I've gone with Answer to beat Hatton over 72 holes. The USPGA at Kiawah Island. Now, let's take a deep breath and let's put up, please, Esteban, the whole shebang so we can have a little look at the graphic and the official picks. Okay, so here we go, Kyle. I'm going to go down. Winner, Spieth. Craig Hovland at plus 2,500. Me, I've gone with Usti at plus 7,000. Top 10, Scheffler at plus 450. Fleetwood at plus 600. And Lowry at plus 800. Top 20, Hovland plus 100. Oosthuizen plus 275. Fleetwood at plus 250 is probably my banker plus 250, top 20. Top American, Spieth, plus 850. Berger, plus 1,900. And Watson at plus 5,500 to be the top American. The top European is Rory at plus 330. Hatton at plus 1,600. And Sergio at plus 2,800. That's the old romantic in me. Top rest of the world, Woo Kim at plus 2,000. The partying Asian in Matsuyama at 800, and the steady Colombian Sebastian Munoz at plus 5,000. And here's your bankers, because we were 100% last time in the Masters. So it's the matchups. It's Scheffler to beat Finau plus 100. It's Bradley to beat Grillo at plus 130, and it's Answer to beat Hatton at plus 100. And Answer to beat Hatton means that he needs to be coming 3rd or 4th, with Hatton to becoming 5th, so that Craig actually cashes. Now, gentlemen, I've had so much fun. I know that we'll all be on Twitter. I will post this on late Wednesday night so everyone can see where we're at, and I'll post it maybe during the next few days as well. I'll so much appreciation. Thank you very much to Craig. Thank you very much to Kyle. It's going to be a great few days, and I cannot wait. If you like this video, then please subscribe, press the button, and ring the bell. Ring the bell means I'll notify you, and you'll never miss any content again. Press the thumbs up on the way out, and enjoy the USPGA at Kiawah Island. You take care.